I want to just talk about something called the attitude of gratitude. A an encounter that I had with a friend a few months back kind of made me simmer on this a little bit more in terms of how helpful it could be for all of us if we really recognize what we need to do to be maybe more abundant in our living, in our thinking, in our being. At any rate, he had been going through some rough things, and a number of bad events had happened all in a row. And the natural thing is, oh no, not one more problem. I can't deal with it. What am I going to do now? But instead, he was taking each thing that had been happening and was saying, I think I can get past this. This will maybe help me to learn something about such and such, and I will be able to do more on the other side. And I'm so glad that I've had these other experiences because it'll help me get through this problem faster, or I'm going to just learn more along the way. And it was very clear he was not like remaining in the problem. It was almost like watching somebody develop an orientation toward moving through the problem. And it wasn't sweeping the problem under the rug. There is a difference where you just kind of repress everything. This was almost taking the problem and leveraging yourself from that point to the next point, like being on a trampoline almost, and just bouncing from this into the next point in your life with the knowledge that your problems, whatever they may be today and in this moment, this will not be something you will be dealing with later. It will be something different, of course, but your problems do not linger on in the same fashion, and this too shall pass. So he had a knowledge of this too shall pass, and he was also operating in this place of recognizing that if he used gratefulness for the things that he did have in his life, he was able to perhaps bounce on that trampoline into a better place and move along here. Now, finally, at some point in this conversation, I said to him, "Where did you learn this? Because I think you're doing this mental self-talk better than I'm doing it for myself, obviously." And he said, "You're talking of the attitude of gratitude?" And I said, "Yeah, that's what it seems to be. And so tell me, where did you learn this?" He said, "I learned it from AA." I said, "AA? Well, that's an interesting place to learn a concept like that. Tell me how you learned it." And he said, "Well, I understood this much, that if I did not choose to operate with a grateful heart, then the negative, self-destructive thinking would begin to take over. And as it took over, then the emotional state that coincides with that would begin to permeate my life. And as that permeated my life, then ultimately the disease process of alcoholism would rise up again for me, and then I would be dead. And I went, whoa, now that's an interesting thought. And as I kind of considered it, I realized, well, it's actually the same process for all of us. Because as we choose to operate apart from an attitude of gratitude, as we choose to operate in a negative, self-defeating place that has no room for thankfulness for the things that we do have, perhaps, in our world. As we choose to operate apart from all of that, we begin to sink slowly into the negative thinking. And then, of course, the corresponding emotions will rise up, the feelings of despair or, just hopelessness and all the rest that come along with that. And as that rises up, then all of the other things can rise up inside of us. From the physiological standpoint, you don't have to have an addiction problem and end up drinking. You're going to end up with cortisol levels way over, going crazy in your system. and beginning to tear down a lot of your organ systems. Other things like, the heart and high blood pressure taking place. Other physiological things having to do with the digestive system becoming askew because of all of the stress that the body is internalizing and not being able to let go of. And when all of that happens, ultimately, what have you done is you've come into a place of embracing death and moving yourself a little bit closer toward death. Not that you're going to die that day, but ultimately you are embracing it in a faster way than if you would be operating in a place of embracing the attitude of gratitude, which is obviously more life-giving and obviously more healing and healthful for yourself. So ultimately, I choose to try and get clients to take a look at maybe some of their own self-talk and recognize if they're operating a little bit more out of that negative place that has less to do with being grateful and thankful for some of the things in their lives and more to do with being upset and bothered and negative by circumstances around them, then it's time to kind of look at doing a little self-work and a little bit of need to change the inner terrain, if you would, so that it becomes more of a help to you and less of a hindrance. So anyway, I hope this helps you just become alert to the fact that an attitude of gratitude is an important key to maintaining some mental health and good living.